Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 6, Episode 10. But before we get started, let me just say thank you all so much because we are now at 6,000 subscribers.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
And just a few weeks ago, we were at 5,000. And to see the growth is just beyond exciting. To my new subscribers, welcome. To my old subscribers, the ones who were there in the beginning when was it nobody but like 20 folks watching me. Like, you really make what I do on here a lot of fun. But again, thank you all immensely. I just love you guys beyond words. And I'm excited to see where things continue to go from here. So let's get right on into this episode. This episode was okay. I didn't think it was great. It wasn't bad. There were parts that were entertaining, and there were parts where it felt like, they could have left this on the editing floor, to be really honest with you. But Potomac, I'm gonna need you to step it up. The girls over in Beverly Hills are outlapping you, all right? Beverly Hills, in my personal opinion, is the best franchise out right now. So, with all that being said, let's just jump right on into this recap because we don't have a minute to spare. So we start the episode off right where we left it last week, and that's with Candace and Ashley going at it at the restaurant. Baby, let me tell you something. The way I was so distracted by Ashley's ugly Beetlejuice jumpsuit, I was just so fixated on it. I kept saying, this is the best she could do. Like, she looked in the mirror, walked out her house, and said that that looked good. I really could not focus on that argument. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, Ashley, I think, is the worst dresser on this franchise. So Candace says, look, Ashley, I'm not trying to body shame you. That was not my intention at all. I just said that wide comment out of anger. So Candace goes on to throw another dig about how she talks about Ashley's forehead all the time. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I hollered because every time somebody mentions Ashley's forehead, I immediately think about my girl Erica De Niro and how she calls Ashley Stewie Darby, and I die every single time. So now Ashley snaps back and says, and I talk about your dry ass hair all the time. I said, no, Ashley, we've seen your hair look unmoisturized and brittle, and there have been quite a few times when you were sporting Sheila's wigs. I think it was either last season or season 4 when she was wearing Sheila's old wig in her confessional, and we were all like, girl, what are you wearing? What is that on your head? So Ashley, you're really not the right person to talk about anybody's hair. Just my opinion. So now we see Ashley in her confessional say, this is why I don't fool with this girl, and she needs to learn how to apologize. While I stand by everything that I said in last week's recap about Candace could have found a better read for Ashley, I mean, honestly, Ashley is a walking read. And the fact that she had on a Beetlejuice jumpsuit, Candace should have read her on that. But Ashley, for you to act as if what Candace said was the worst thing in the world to you and that she needs to learn how to apologize, that's a joke. You've said and done a million times worse. You were sitting up there joking and laughing about how Juan and Robin were broke with only $25 in their bank account. You were there calling your good girlfriend an alcoholic season 3 and then saying that the reason why she had a miscarriage was due to her drinking. You've said some really nasty things to Karen, knowing that Karen was going through the loss of both of her parents. You badgered Katie Ross so bad, knowing that that woman had lost custody of her 3 kids, was going through severe financial issues, and had a nervous breakdown. And you were calling her everything but a child of God season 4. So miss me with you wanting an apology and Candace needing to know how to apologize, because I don't really remember you apologizing to anybody that you've offended or done wrong to. Okay? And if you did apologize, it was only because you were forced to at the reunion. So miss me with it. Honestly, my hope for Candace will be that she just ignores Ashley. Just pay her dust. I feel like Ashley wants Candace's attention and she wants a reaction out of Candace. And sometimes your silence and you paying somebody absolute dust is more powerful than you trying to read them. But again, just my 2 cents on the whole matter. I guess I'm just over seeing Candace engage with Ashley and give her any sort of reaction. So they finally stop arguing, and now Gizelle does a toast to Robin. And did you guys notice how these last few episodes, they all keep ordering espresso martinis? There was no significance to that. I just noticed it, and I just wondered if anybody else noticed that too. So now Mia jumps in with an announcement about her goddess lunch, and they're all invited to it. So they're all kind of like, a goddess lunch? Like, what's that all about? She lets them know that it's going to be a picnic in the park, and Wendy and Karen are going to be there as well. So they're kind of like, oh Lord. And Mia lets it be known that she wants this to be a moment where they can all make amends. Gizelle is like wishful thinking, it ain't gonna happen. So now Mia relays Karen's message to Gizelle about wanting an apology. So Gizelle says, Mia, come close. I want to talk to you for a minute. Let Karen know that she and Ray will both be dead before I apologize. I said, Gizelle seems to have a hard-on about using the word death when she knows that Karen does not like that word being used regarding her and Ray. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm going to need Karen and Gizelle to come harder with their storylines for the next season, because this whole feud, we're sick of it. I'm tired of seeing them go back and forth every single season to make up, to fall out again, to make up, to fall out again. It's just like, okay, really? Y'all are too old for this. If you really can't stand each other, then either quit the show. Well, we know you're not going to do that because you guys need that money, but I digress. Or just don't speak, because this whole back and forth, we're tired. It's exhausting. And it's stale. So now we move on to Karen, and she's filming the commercial for Surrey County. And we all know that she was named ambassador of Surrey County in last week's episode, or was it the week before? But yeah, she was crowned ambassador. And this scene, in my opinion, was boring. They could have left this out. And to add insult to injury, Karen didn't even film the commercial in Surrey. She was filming it at a park in Potomac. I said, Karen, that makes sense to you? Y'all couldn't film in Surrey? And it was so funny when the producer was like, oh, why didn't you guys film it in Surrey? Why are you filming it in Potomac? And even Karen didn't have an answer for it. She came up with a little excuse about, well, Surrey County lives in me and I bring Surrey wherever I go. It was like, okay, sis, just say that you're too lazy to get in the car and drive the 3 hours to Surrey County to film the commercial, because that made no sense. The only funny part about this scene was when production kept adding not an actual depiction of Surrey County at the bottom of the screen. I said, leave it to Bravo's production to always be shady, all right? They get these women together low-key. I especially love when one of them will lie and then they'll play the footage of what they said in a past episode or a prior season. I love it. I am always here for Bravo, getting these women together at every single turn. So we move on to Gizelle and her daughters. They're all at home. And it was so funny because Gizelle's daughters were in the kitchen and Gizelle's in her bedroom. And she's trying to call them from the kitchen in Spanish. And the way she was butchering up that Spanish, I said, girl, if you don't get on Duolingo and stop it. And even her daughters were like, Mom, that is not how you say come here in Spanish, girl. Like, please stop. Now Gizelle talks about Grace, her oldest daughter, being a junior and how the whole college situation is approaching. So now she goes on to bring up how they're all going to be leaving for college soon and if they're going to be concerned about her being alone. So her daughters say they are going to be concerned about her when they all leave for college, and then her twins ask her if she wants to get married again. Gizelle says that she doesn't want to get married again because she does not want to have to answer to a man from a financial perspective. She also goes on to say how when her mom and dad got divorced, her mom was petrified on how she was going to take care of herself. And Gizelle also felt the same way when she and Jamal got divorced. Gizelle makes it clear that she wants her daughters to learn from her mistakes, and she does not want them to go through what she went through. And I have to say, I really like when Gizelle films with her kids. It brings a softer side to her, a side that we don't see ever. And I liked how she's not pressuring her girls to get married and have kids. And when she said she just wants her kids to be happy and to do what they love. Watching this scene made me think back to how I grew up. And as a girl, I was encouraged to follow my dreams and follow my heart and do what I loved. And there wasn't this pressure of, at this age, you need to be married and have children. Like, no. I was made to feel like, we just want you to be happy no matter what path you choose. And I'm very grateful to say that I had a family that really did encourage me to go after what I wanted, and whatever that was, and whatever it is now. If I change my mind, decide that I want to take a total 180 and do something else, that I'll always have support. I think it's a beautiful thing that Giselle's encouraging her daughters to really explore what they want for themselves and to know that whatever they decide, that they have her support. So kudos to Gizelle for that one. Gizelle, if we could see more of this and less of the other BS that you do on this show, you would win a lot of people over. I really think that Gizelle underestimates the power of being liked. I think that, yes, the villain role is cute for a minute, but it gets old fast. So we move on to Candace. She gets home. Chris is in the kitchen with the good old glass, I think whiskey or bourbon, or maybe he was drinking Henny, but whatever he was drinking, it was good and strong, all right? And I understand because it be like that some days. Chris goes on to ask Candace if she's ready for Friday. We all know that Friday is her music video, and it's been a lot of nerves and anxiety on Candace's part. Candace is not in the best mood because she's still upset about their argument from the other day. Candace says that she's nervous about pulling this video off without him being there, and now they start discussing the whole extra situation. Because of COVID, they can only have, I think Chris said, like 30 people there in attendance. So now Chris lets her know that he's not going to be an extra because he has to work. So Candace is really upset by that. And Chris is pissed because he's like, I don't understand why you're upset that I have to work. Like, you should be happy that I have a job and that I'm not up under you working for free. And he lets Candace know that he feels like she doesn't think that his stuff is as important as what she does. So here's the thing, right? Being in the entertainment industry in any capacity, it's a glamorous job. And many times people sort of prioritize a celebrity versus a regular job, if that makes sense. I feel like it's another reason why a lot of these housewives get divorced when they come on these shows, because their marriage was fine when the woman wasn't known, she wasn't a star, the husband was making the money, getting all the accolades. And then when you come on these shows, it's the woman who's now in the forefront. She's the star, the celebrity. And in some cases, because of the show and because Bravo pays so well and because of the opportunities that come with it, the woman ends up making more money than the husband did. Now there's some jealousy and some friction. I'm just saying, y'all, some men have very fragile egos. So I wasn't that surprised when Chris said that that was how he felt. Candace says in her confessional that she's been so focused on perfection that she hasn't been a good wife. And I understand it. Anytime you have some work that's going to be displayed in front of others, there are a whole bunch of nerves and anxiety. I know firsthand. We now move on to Wendy and her family at home. They're playing football in the backyard. I think that Wendy has the cutest kids. The baby girl Cameron, adorable. Oh, and I saw that both of Wendy's sons were walking down the runway at New York Fashion Week a few days ago. I said, I know that's right. And the whole scene with Wendy and Eddie telling their sons about police brutality and what to expect, unfortunately, when they turn into young black men. And it was just so adorable when I think it was her older son who said, I want to be like Martin Luther King and have all the black and white people be treated equal. So kudos to Wendy and Eddie for letting them know about the world that we live in and the sad state of affairs it is. So this next scene with Karen and Ashley, this was honestly a filler scene. There wasn't much said. You know I can't stand Karen or Ashley, so it was painful to watch. Ashley brought her baby Dylan with her, and it was very reminiscent of when she was bringing Dean with her everywhere in season 5. I was also cracking up when Karen met little Dylan and Dylan was about to cry. I said, child, the way these kids are not here for Miss Karen Huger whatsoever. Karen can't seem to win when it comes to these little babies. They are not trying to see her face. Now Karen brings up the Williamsburg trip, and she says how she just missed Ashley so much, and she just wished that Ashley could have stayed on the trip the entire time. Karen, what are you talking about? 1, that was Candace's trip. 2, Ashley was not invited. And 3, Ashley caused enough chaos and confusion for the 4 or 5 hours that she was there. So no, Ashley did not need to be there the entire duration of the trip. We barely wanted to see her for the time that she was there. But I digress. Karen goes on to talk about how Giselle was just giving Wendy the hardest time on the trip about Wendy finding her sexy side. Ashley interjects and says, look, you and Giselle have been at each other's throats for a long time, and you know that Giselle's going through a hard time right now. Karen says, I know she's been lied on. I know she's heartbroken. She's been cheated on. Like, I get that. Karen then goes on to say how she's given her apologies and she's not giving any more. I said, now hold on, Karen. I'm not here for you or Giselle, but you haven't given any apologies to anybody. So what are you talking about? It's the delusions with Karen Huger for me. Like, Karen really has a hard time when it comes to telling the truth. Ashley goes on to say that she just wants them to come together and have some laughs and keys again. I mean, Ashley, I don't understand why you're making it your mission to be peacemaker and mediator between Giselle and Karen. Let it be. If they don't want to be friends, like, why do you care so much? I honestly feel like Ashley's only trying to play this peacemaker role to rebrand her image because she knows that it's tarnished with all the nasty and vile things that she's said and done. And she's also doing this for a storyline because without Michael and his shenanigans, she has no storyline. So I see right through the BS. She's just doing this to keep her spot on the show. Karen says that she's open to having a private moment, woman-to-woman conversation with Giselle, but that's where it starts and stops. Quiet as it's kept, they were never friends with each other. I think that they were always frenemies, associates who saw each other at Jack and Jill events and Jack and Jill meetings, and 2 women who have always been in a secret competition with each other. And with that being said, we can move right on to the next scene. Now we see Robin and her life coach, Denise. Side note, one of y'all in the comments said that Robin is giving every bit of Rachel Dolezal with those braids in her head. And the way I fell out, I was screaming. That is exactly who she looks like. And I don't know who told Robin to get that style of braids either, but no ma'am. So Robin starts talking to her life coach about how her business blew up, but in the back of her mind, she has this fear about what if it comes crashing down. Robin says she's afraid to trust because of her and Juan's best friend scamming them out of money. Robin goes on to talk about her relationship to Juan and how they don't have any wedding plans as of yet, but also how the pandemic has kind of seeped into their relationship. She goes on to say that there was a time when Juan was down and she lifted him up, and she would like for him to return the favor since she's going through a hard time emotionally. Denise interjects and says how there are so many expectations for Black women and for Black women to be strong. And let me tell you something right now, I have always rejected that whole strong Black woman trope. Not me, girl. I am a delicate little flower. I cry when I need to cry. I rest when I need to rest. I treat myself when I want to, okay? If you're looking for a strong Black woman to do it all and carry the load, that's not me. The strong Black woman narrative is literally putting us in hospitals, early graves, because we're worried about everybody else except ourselves. And you cannot pour from an empty cup. So to all my Black women who watch, please make sure you're putting yourself first and taking care of yourself, because you can't help anybody if you're not 100%. And that is my little PSA for today. The scene ends with Robin saying that she needs to be more structured and also vocalize how she feels to Juan so that he can treat and handle her differently. I mean, Robin, you didn't need to go to a life coach to tell you that, but okay. I don't know what it was about this scene, but I just felt like, it's giving me that Robin is doing this for a storyline. I just feel like Robin is somebody who could have left this show a long time ago. She hasn't had a concrete storyline in quite a few seasons. A lot of us are no longer interested in if she and Juan will ever get remarried again because we don't really care. All the best to Robin. I hope that the life coach is helping you. We get to the final scene of the night, and it's the day of Mia's goddess party. Mia, you did that. I thought that everything looked beautiful. I liked your dress. You looked pretty as well. Your party planner did a really great job. And I loved how you had the flower crowns for everybody. Like, that was a very nice touch. So anyhow, Karen arrives first, then Wendy arrives, and Wendy, mama, you did that. I love the dress. You gave very much Grecian goddess. I love that color on you. It was like a mint green. That was gorgeous. I love the flowy hair. I thought that Wendy nailed it. Ascala arrives, and Ascala kills it as always. She was giving every bit of Ethiopian goddess. I said, yes, ma'am. Ascala, you better be a full-time housewife come season 7. You hear me? And I love how my girl is so classy because every time she arrives somewhere, she always has a gift in tow. She had the Clase Azul tequila in hand. I said, I know that's right. Ashley shows up. I don't know what she was wearing, but she missed the mark. And I was beyond confused that she brought her baby with her because, I mean, you do know that you're bringing a 6-week-old baby to a lunch and you're in the middle of a pandemic. Now the rest of the ladies arrive, Giselle, Candace, and Robin. I thought that Robin looked really good. I liked that she took those braids out. Hallelujah, won't he do it? She was definitely giving a little Shirley Temple with the curls. But she looked cute nonetheless. So they all sit down, and let me say this. Please do not seat me across or next to somebody that I can't stand. I don't know why they keep seating Ashley and Candace directly across from each other. If I were Candace, I would have gotten up and switched seats because I'm not going to sit there and eat my food across from somebody that I can't stand. That's just me though. Candace starts talking about her music video and she invites all of them to be in it. They're all excited And of course, Gizelle has to be the messy busybody that she is. And she says, Candace, are we including Ashley in the music video? Candace says, oh girl, absolutely not. I said, Candace, I know that's right. I got my entire life by watching how pressed and bothered Ashley was by not being invited. And you could tell that Ashley was big mad too. Now Mia interjects with a game that she wants them all to play. And she wants them all to go around the table and say something nice to each other. So they're all like, oh Lord, this is gonna be a hard one. So Ashley starts it off and she says to Candace, I know that we're oil and water, but I just want to say I appreciate how committed you are to doing what you do and following your passion. Candace says thank you, and Ashley, I appreciate you walking in your motherhood journey. Of course, we see in the confessionals, they're both shading each other. Now it's Robin's turn, and she says to Karen, Karen, I love how you can laugh at yourself and not take yourself so seriously. Karen says, thank you so much, Robin, and I just want to say I learned that from you, and I want to thank you for it. Robin turns to Wendy and says, and Wendy, I appreciate you for how passionate you are about your family. And then she says, and I'm going to keep it short. I loved how Wendy paid Robin dust. Robin, for you to complain about Wendy being passive-aggressive to you, that was beyond passive-aggressive. Robin is just as nasty and messy as her good friend Gizelle is. The only difference between those two, Giselle's more vocal about it, and Robin flies under the radar with it. But she also throws rocks and hides her hand and then pretends like she's innocent and didn't do anything. I can't stand Robin. And Wendy wasn't here for your little fake compliment because she says in her confessional, so how do you say you appreciate me defending my family when you're sitting up there defending somebody who attacked my family? Like, make it make sense. Now it's Askala's turn, and she compliments Gizelle first. She says, Gizelle, I just want to say I appreciate you for your confidence and how opinionated you are. Then she turns to Karen and says, and Karen, I appreciate your wisdom, how you give great advice, and how you're always taking people under your wing. I said, Askala, I've been riding for you since the beginning. Don't make me sit up here and have to side-eye you next, sis. Karen is only out for Karen. And Karen, I will never let you forget how you treated Wendy when she came on the show last season. You treated Wendy like she was gum at the bottom of your shoe. So please miss me with you and Wendy now being the best of friends. You're only doing it because you need a friend to film with. That's it. Now it's Giselle's turn, and Mia interjects and says, Gizelle, say something nice about Karen. Gizelle says, me and Karen aren't in a good space. I've got nothing nice to say. Gizelle turns to Wendy and says, Wendy, you're obviously still upset, and we haven't talked. So while Giselle's talking, Mia interrupts and says to Wendy, Gizelle didn't believe the blogs in the first place. She was actually defending you. Gizelle says, I was defending your husband, Wendy, and you need to take accountability for what you said to me in Williamsburg. Wendy says, I'm not apologizing because I was defending my family. And then Wendy says, you could have come to me as a woman if you were my friend. Gizelle owns up to that and says, that's the only thing that I will apologize for because I've always come to you from a spirit of love. Gizelle, I don't know who you're trying to fool, but we've been watching this show for 6 seasons now, and you have never come to anybody in a spirit of love. I don't know if it's delusions or you just have a lack of self-awareness, but you do not come to anybody with a soft touch. Wendy says, I received that, and Mia goes on to ask if they're good. Wendy says in her confessional that she doesn't know if there's any bouncing back with Gizelle, and she feels like this whole thing is just a temporary fix. If you watch the Bravo after show and you've seen what Wendy and Gizelle are saying about each other, then you would know that they probably are never going to be friends again. Like, they are really going at each other's throats on that show, not to each other, but to the producers. So when they watch it back, I know at the reunion, it's probably going to be a bloodbath between the both of them. I honestly feel like Wendy and Gizelle can kiss this friendship goodbye because I don't see it being revived. Gizelle then says, and for the record, I'm not the one sitting up here destroying families, that's Karen. So now Candace jumps in the conversation and goes on to ask Gizelle if the whole binder gate from last season at the reunion is the reason why her and Jamal have parted ways. I was really confused by Giselle's answers. Gizelle goes on to say that this was not new information to her at all about the other woman. And I said, so were you and Jamal already broken up? Like, I just didn't understand it. I was just so confused. So Candace is like, oh, so then why didn't you tell us that? Gizelle says, I didn't say anything because I wanted Karen to show her ass, but I knew about the other woman months prior. So I'm sitting there like, wait, like, what? Gizelle goes on to say how Jamal told her and Jamal tells her everything. Then Gizelle says that it hurt her and her kids badly. So I was just thinking, but if you knew months prior that he had seen another woman, then how were you hurt by it? I don't know. I was just confused, y'all. Somebody drop down in the comments and explain it to me like I'm 5, because Giselle's answers were not making any sense. If I had already known about another woman in the picture, I wouldn't be upset if somebody tried to expose me about it because I would have already known and I would have just addressed it at the reunion like, yeah, I already know, right? I don't know, y'all. Just, again, I was confused. Let me know down in the comments. I just had a whole lot of questions and we'll be here all day. Karen gets defensive and says, you brought a whole lie of a relationship up here and now you want to twist it. So Candace decides to jump in for Gizelle and she says, look, Karen, Gizelle just said that she was hurt. Like, let's acknowledge that because Gizelle never admits when she's hurt about something. Candace says in her confessional that she always felt like Gizelle was incapable of expressing her vulnerable feelings. And Candace, you're not alone in that because myself and a whole lot of us viewers are always saying, does Gizelle have any feelings? Because we never see it. Gizelle and Karen start going back and forth. And then Gizelle starts yelling that she wants Karen to apologize to her black ass. Karen finally ekes out an apology. Giselle's gotten her apology. She's happy. Karen says, can you just acknowledge that you used the wrong word regarding my husband? And then she goes on to say how Gizelle has a hard time apologizing. Gizelle says, I don't have a hard time apologizing, Karen. Like, this is actually your first time apologizing to me. And we see a whole montage of over the seasons where Gizelle has done something stupid and then she apologized to Karen. So I will say that although Gizelle is full of it a lot of times, she has given Karen her fair share of apologies. Now Robin interjects and says, can we just wipe the slate clean and start over? Gizelle says that she would like to do that. They all agree. And then Gizelle goes on to say how this group is really special to her and she wants them all to move forward in respect. The episode ends with Karen saying that she's happy that they're all resetting. I know Mia thinks that this lunch is going to have everybody at peace, but we all know the deal. They're going to be fighting like cats and dogs in the next episode. So while this was cute and it was a cute kumbaya, it's not going to last whatsoever. But y'all, that was the episode. Thank you all for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all for Salt Lake City. Bye.